Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. It is the first day of 2021 and I'm so hopeful that 2021 will be better than 2020. What do you think? If you're new here, welcome. Thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Carol and I'm the Thrifty Chic Housewife. And today we're going to do a little Q&A. Now I've seen other YouTubers do this and it seems to be a lot of fun. You all seem to enjoy it. So I thought that I would do a Q&A. Ask me anything as long as it's appropriate and can be answered in public. And when I put this question out there, I did do a little blurb on the community tab here on YouTube and also on my Facebook page. Told you guys to ask me whatever you wanted to know. So that's where I've compiled my list of questions from. Now, just a little FYI, several of you asked me technical questions about canning, and I have a number of those questions. And because of the number of those I got, I decided to divide this up into two videos. So today's video is just going to be the Ask Me Anything that has to do with me or my channel. And then I'm going to do another video separate from this one that's just going to be another canning Q&A. Okay, here we go. Back to today's video. These questions are not in any kind of order. I just kind of jotted them down as you guys posted them, and so they're just in random order. So the first question, when did you start canning and why? I started canning about 5-6 years ago, and the reason I started canning was because I was well on my way to becoming an empty nester, and I needed something to do in my empty nest. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and my son was a senior in high school and my daughter was a freshman in high school, and I knew the day was coming that I would have to replace the time that I was doing everything for them. I would have to replace that time with something constructive in my life. So in an effort to not completely fall apart and have a serious empty nester meltdown, I went on a journey, so to speak, to find fun things to fill my time. And one of the things that my husband and I started discussing was this whole prepping issue, and he's watched YouTube for a number of years, kind of since the beginning. YouTube was really not my thing. I would watch a video with him every now and then, but it really wasn't my thing. But he came across videos about prepping, canning, all those kinds of things. And so I started watching them with him because we felt it was prudent to kind of walk down that road a little bit. I don't know that I consider us full-on preppers, but we have become way more self-sufficient since that time. So anyway, the canning just kind of went hand in hand with the other thing that we wanted to do, which was gardening. We live on about 3 acres, and we thought it would be a good idea to start a garden, which did a number of things. It helped supply us with provided a way for us to grow our own food, and it also was another hobby and another way to spend time constructively in our empty nester years. So we started the garden, and then canning just kind of came along behind it, and I found that it was something that I have enjoyed tremendously. So that is kind of how it got started. I needed something to do in my empty nest that was productive, and found that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then the YouTube channel came a little bit later. The next question kind of goes along with that. What person taught you to can, and who is your role model for cooking and canning? Even though my grandmother did not teach me to can, I have to talk about her a little bit here, because when I was a little girl, a very little girl, I do recall her canning, so she kind of planted seeds. I wasn't old enough to know to ask her questions or to know that I should learn from her. Plus, I'm sure that she did not go by safety guidelines back then. So, but I do have to give her credit, because I certainly have fond memories of being in her kitchen and watching her can vegetable soup. So she definitely comes to mind. And then Linda from Linda's Pantry, when my husband and I went on our little journey of learning about prepping and those kinds of things, we did come across Linda's channel, and she was a very big canner. She has canned since she was a little girl with her grandmother, I believe, and her mom, and it's been in her family for a long time. So I watched a lot of her videos, and so I have to say that she was my role model. She was my inspiration. I would say she gave me the confidence to feel that it was something that I could tackle. So I have to give her credit for that. The cooking part, I would have to say my mom for sure. Even though we were pretty poor when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money for food in general, let alone extra food for learning to cook. But my mom could make a meal out of nothing. So she was definitely inspirational in learning to be creative with what you have. So yeah, she did a lot of basic cooking. She did a lot of comfort foods because those were things that were inexpensive to make and went a long way. Lots of biscuits and gravy made out of everything and anything in the kitchen, and homemade pancakes, things like that. So she was definitely my inspiration for cooking. And then when I got older and on my own, I just found that I enjoyed reading cookbooks. I read cookbooks for fun or get on Pinterest and learn about new recipes, as I'm sure a lot of you do. So those are the people who inspired me. And then I've been pretty much self-taught with the whole canning thing. I definitely have, once I found that it was something that I enjoyed, I just immersed myself in learning. Did a lot of reading on the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I have all of the Ball canning books and have read them cover to cover a number of times, as well as other trusted resources. So pretty much self-taught when it comes to canning. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel? I kind of just answered that question, but I have to give credit where credit is due. It was the brainchild of my husband. YouTube wasn't, like I said, it wasn't something I was really very familiar with, and I didn't know anything about filming or editing or any of that, and I'm a shy person by nature, believe it or not, so I didn't really think about putting myself on camera and talking in front of other people, but he really kind of pushed me in that direction, not just strongly encouraged, I would call it pushing. Yeah, he was the reason I started my YouTube channel. He would make me watch other people's videos, and he's like, if they can do it, you can do it, and it would be something really good for you to do in your empty nester years. So yeah, it was my husband's brainchild, and then once I started it, started getting some positive feedback from you guys that watch, and I have to say, it has been really good for me. So if you are an empty nester and you are heading in that direction, I highly encourage you to look for productive ways to spend your time. It has definitely helped me have a positive transition into my empty nest phase because I had something positive to do. So just a little bit about being an empty nester. If you're concerned about heading into that part of your life, it's really not horrible if you find productive things to do and fun things that fill up the time that you are spending taking care of your little ones. What is your favorite go-to activity? I would have to say reading. I really enjoy reading and I love learning, so those kind of go hand in hand. My other go-to activity is cycling. That's something that I do with my husband. We love to go on the rail trails here in our area, and that's just something we really enjoy. I love being in nature. Would I consider doing a day in the life video? I don't think my life is all that exciting on a day-to-day basis, but several of you have asked me to do that. So I will add it to my list of to-do videos for you. What does your husband and kids think of your YouTube channel? Well, I kind of answered that about my husband. He's very supportive and very proud of what I do. My kids thought I was crazy When we told them that I was considering starting a YouTube channel, they thought that that was just insane. My daughter, as a matter of fact, she was, like I said, a freshman at the time. And she said, "You're too old to have a YouTube channel, Mom. That's for young people." So she was kind of put off a little bit by it at first. My son, he could have cared less one way or the other, but their friends think that it's cool. So since their friends think it's okay, they don't really want to readily admit it, but they think it's kind of cool too that Mom has a YouTube channel. How old are your dogs? Now, for those of you who are new, if you're not familiar, we have 2 Yorkshire Terriers. They are the babies of the house now that the real children have grown and are pretty much on their own. They are 10 years old. They're like having 2 toddlers. They are brothers. They came from the same litter, and they're just great. They're lots of fun to have around, and loving, sweet, sweet dogs, and I'm very thankful that we have them. And then the next question was, some of you may not have noticed, but in my older videos, before I got a little bit better at editing, we have one of the 2 of them that has an issue with coughing. Small dogs like Yorkies have trouble with their tracheas anyway, but we have our little guy, when he drinks water, he tends to drink too fast. And you'll hear him coughing in the background sometimes. Like I said, I do try to edit it out because it is offensive to some people. I've even had people suggest that I put them in another room when I film. I'm not going to do that. This is their home. This is where they live. We do real life here, and I'm not going to do that to them. But I do try to edit out. For some reason, people get upset when they hear them cough. But he's fine. It's just something, it's just part of who he is. So we just deal with it, and I try to film around it. Have you ever worked outside the home? Yes. As a matter of fact, that's how I met my husband. We've been together 28-ish years, and his dad was the vice president of the company that I worked for. I was a data processing department manager at the time. So prior to being a stay-at-home mom, I had always worked as an administrative assistant or office manager, that kind of thing. Did that for a number of years. And then when our kiddos came along, when we had just Alex, my mom took care of him, but she was older when he was born. So when we had Tori, it was too much for her to take care of both of them. So at that point, I quit my full-time job and I worked retail evenings and weekends. My husband worked during the day. He worked our business during the day. And that way we didn't have to have a sitter. So I took care of the kids during the day while he was out working. He took care of our kids in the evenings and weekends when I was working. So yes, I have worked outside the home, but I have to say my greatest joy has been being a stay-at-home mom and a housewife. What are your hobbies besides canning? I kind of mentioned about reading. Also, the cycling is fun. I enjoy that. I love home decorating, so I like to read up on ways to update your home. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of DIY myself. I've refinished some of our furniture and painted all of our kitchen cabinets and things like that. My hobbies, and of course our fur babies. And then gardening is another hobby that we enjoy. And of course my YouTube channel. Will you include more videos with the puppies? I will try to do that. Manny and Monty are not big fans of the camera. Like if you hold the camera to film them, they become very camera shy. I don't know. They don't really care for that. So I have to kind of inconspicuously film them, but I will try to get them on film more often for you guys. I know many of you are puppy lovers and enjoy seeing them, so I will try to do a better job of including them in creative ways. How do you keep your kitchen so neat when canning? I love this question. It absolutely cracks me up that people notice that. I've gotten this comment a lot. Your kitchen is so clean when you can. How do you do that? First of all, I'm not a gadget girl by nature, so I don't have a lot of stuff out on my countertops just on the daily. I don't care for clutter, so I try to keep things pretty tidy most of the time. and keep things out of my way. I don't have a huge kitchen. I don't have a lot of countertop space anyway. So I try to keep it clean on a regular basis and keep unnecessary things kind of out of the way. So if it's not something that I use on a daily basis, it gets stored in my pantry area. And before I start a canning project, I move anything that's unnecessary for the project, I move it out of the way. So sometimes you'll notice that I even move my utensil jar away from my stove. That's where it usually sits. But if I need that space for canning, I will move it so that it's kind of clear. So I just clear things out of the way so that I only have out the things that I'm going to be using. So I don't have any extraneous things in my way. And like I said, I just don't like a lot of clutter in general. So I don't have a lot of things out if I can avoid it. Do you dress up just for us in your videos? I think that's a funny question too. That really is, I don't consider myself dressed up necessarily. Obviously, I want to look put together for you guys. I don't want to look like a hot mess on camera, but that is just who I am, and that's just kind of how I live my life daily anyway. I wash my hair almost every day, and I fix my hair every day, and I put on makeup every day. So I don't just do that for my videos. As far as what I wear, I feel like I'm a more productive person if I put on something that makes me feel pretty, or makes me feel put together. So I try to dress like that just on the daily. I like nice things. I enjoy nice clothes. I know some of you call it being dressed up, but I don't necessarily see it as being dressed up. I'm just not a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl, but that's just my personality. And I know some people have taken offense to that, and I feel badly about that, but I don't wear what I wear or dress the way I dress to offend anyone. It's just my personality. It's just who I am, and it makes me a more productive person. If I don't get up and take a shower and fix my hair and put on makeup and just wear pajamas all day, I'm just lazy. That's just how I am. So I know I get more done when I feel good about myself. So, and I think my husband appreciates the effort that I put forward. So that's just who I am on a daily basis. Do I put forth a little more effort for you guys? Maybe sometimes, but if you saw me on the street, pretty much what you see on camera is how you would see me on the street. That's just who I am. The other question that kind of goes along with that is, how do you stay so neat and tidy while you're canning? I don't know. And maybe it comes across differently than what it actually is. I mean, I may get stuff on my sleeves or whatever. I do try to take into consideration what I'm doing that day. So obviously, if I'm going to be canning spaghetti sauce, I'm not going to wear drapey sleeves or anything like that could get in the way of canning. I do try to take into consideration what I'm wearing depending on what I'm cooking or canning, if that makes sense. And I just try to be tidy about it. I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. What is your favorite thing to can? Probably my favorite thing to can is stock. It's so economical, you guys. If you are not canning your own stock, you are so missing out. And it doesn't take long to can it up. That is one of my favorites to have. Plus, it's just a great staple to have on your shelf. You can do so much with it. And then the other question is, what's the worst thing you've ever canned? My answer to that, and I know many of you are not going to agree with this, and that's totally fine, but ground beef. I do not like canned ground beef at all, and neither does my family. I know this sounds gross, but it reminds me, it's the texture of dog food. In my opinion, I just don't care for it. Do you have a garden? Yes, we have a garden. Garden is another one of my empty nester activities, but we are not master gardeners by any stretch of the imagination. We are still learning a lot about gardening. I just have a basic plot garden. I don't have raised beds. I don't have anything fancy like that. It's just a plot with a fence around it to keep the deer out. and the rabbits. So, and we're still learning. There's a lot to know about gardening. We've had some success, but I don't feel like an authority on that topic. I know several of you have asked me for videos about our garden, and maybe I'll try to include some of those this year, but I just feel like we're just not an authority on gardening, so I don't know that what I would have to show you would be of much value, but maybe I will try to include some of what we're doing. And then along with the gardening, many of you have asked what is my favorite seed source. We like Johnny's seeds. They're high quality seeds. They're great to work with. I'll leave a link for you in the description box. You order them online, and they're very high quality, and we have had great success with their seeds. Do you start your own plants? We have in the past, haven't had great success with that, but it is on our list this year to start more plants. We always bought starter plants from our local nursery, but the price of them is getting pretty pricey to start a garden with plants that you buy from a nursery, so we plan to start our own. Do you dehydrate, do freezer meals, or instant pot meals? I don't have an instant pot, so I can't help you guys with that. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not a gadget girl, so I don't really have a need for an instant pot. In my opinion, I'm at home most of the time, so I don't really need a way to cook things really quickly. I'm fine with slow cooking things in the oven, or I do use my crock pot quite a bit. So I don't feel like I have the need for an instant pot. So that's not something that I can include on my channel. But I do some freezing, and so I will try to include a few videos on that. And I also dehydrate. This past year I did get an Excalibur dehydrator, which I absolutely love. So we will be having some videos on dehydrating for you. You guys keep me so busy with canning that sometimes it's hard to slip other things in there, but I will try to do the dehydrating and the freezing for you. Where do you live? We live in Central Ohio. I've lived here most of my life, so has my husband. Pretty smack dab in the middle of the state. And the next question is about our kids. We do have 2 children. Our son, he is 23 going on 24. He has been on his own for about 1.5 years now. He got a degree from Kent State University in economics and finance and is doing very well on his own. Our daughter is a junior at Kent State. She is studying for her BFA in dance performance, which has been last year was a terrible year for her, and I'm not sure that things are looking much better this year for that type of a degree. We'll see what the future holds where that's concerned, but there are not a lot of jobs available for that right now, so I don't know how that's going to pan out, but she's a smart girl, she's a talented girl, so I'm sure she will figure out how to use that degree in a creative way. She may not get to do what she'd set out to do unless current circumstances change dramatically, so we'll see how it goes, but she still has another year of school to go. Would you consider publishing a cookbook? Yes, I would consider it, and as a matter of fact, I'm currently working on one. I ask for your patience, however, because I do not know very much about publishing at all. I've been doing some research, and I'm kind of leaning toward using Kindle Direct Publishing. Seems pretty straightforward and simple to self-publish. So hopefully by the end of the year, I will have one ready for you. Would you consider doing a house tour? Sure, I can slip one of those videos in there. Our house is very nice, but it's not anything elaborate. But if you guys want a tour, I'm happy to show you around. What are you not good at? I thought that question was funny. Sports. I'm terrible at sports. I'm not good at sports at all. My husband, he chimed in when I was sharing with him the questions you guys were asking, and he said, I'm not good at not yelling at my husband. So, do you have any collabs planned with other YouTubers? At this time, no. I'm pretty much a very small fish in a very large pond. So I don't have anything planned. No one's asked me to collab with them, but if someone would, I would be more than happy to do that. But like I said, my channel's still kind of small in comparison to others, so there are no plans for that at this time. Do you plan on becoming a certified master canner? I would love to do that. At this time, the answer is no. There just aren't any classes that are even remotely close to where I live for me to do that. And then the last question was, do you grow your own food or go to a farmer's market? And I pretty much covered that. We grow some of our own food in our garden. I do get some things from that we don't grow from our farmer's market. And so we do a little bit of both. Okay, guys, that wraps up my Ask Me Anything video. I hope that you enjoyed coming along with me today. I wish you all the very best 2021. 2020 was certainly a very challenging year. Hopefully things will get better. We'll see how all that goes. But in the meantime, I intend to continue to bring you fun and informative videos to watch. If you ever have any questions or comments, please leave them for me in the comment section. I hope you'll consider subscribing, like and share my videos, and follow me on social media. I will leave all the links in the description box below. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you next time.